A very good morning to all of you, my dear students. Welcome back to the class once again. And I hope that you are all also fine by the grace of Almighty. We were discussing the chapter, the Mughal Empire, from last month, I think. So we need to complete it by today, I think, and it will be completed, inshallah. So let us discuss about Jahangir's description of Solikul, which was introduced by Akbar. But how he describes Sulikul, Jahangir, how he describes Sulikul, let us go through. He has written that there was room for all classes and the followers for all creeds during Jahangir's rule. Means there was room, means everyone was allowed and everyone was living very freely during Jahangir's rule. Means there was no casteism, or even if there was any casteism or races, of talking about the different type of races and the people of race. So Jahangir was not discriminating among them. So there was room for all classes, means that everyone can grow. Everyone can grow, everyone can really understand, they can live freely. You can see in his imperial or grand, imperial means grand dominions, which on all sides were limited only by the sea, there was room for the professors of opposite religions. So there was room for professors of opposite religion also. So he was not like Aurangzeb or any other ruler, that only he will give chances to Muslim religion people to be the professor, to be the teacher in his court. He was giving opportunity to professors of other religion also, opposite religion, that is Hinduism, Sikhs, and many more. And for beliefs, good and bad, and the road to intolerance was closed. So during his rule, you can see he was believing everyone. He was deciding among the good man and the bad man, and even uh, before that, before Akbar or before Jahangir, also there were many rulers who cannot tolerate any mistake of anyone, just used to give punishment. So but he, over here you can see the road to intolerance was closed. Means now he was understanding people, he was tolerating, मैंने लोगों को बर्दाश्त करना, उनकी गलतियों को माफ कर देना, है ना. He was forgiving the people for their mistakes. So that is means you are tolerating. So intolerance was closed. So there were many rulers also who used to intolerate, वो बर्दाश्त नहीं करते थे, बहुत सारे rulers सजा देते थे. But during Jahangir, he was intolerance. Sunnis and Shias, they were meeting in one mosque. These are the two division in the Muslims. Actually, these are the divisions created by the human being only, not the Almighty Allah. Sunnis and Shias are separated among them, from each of them. But during Jahangir's, you can see during Jahangir rule, Sunnis and Shias, they were meeting in the same mosque, they were praying in the same mosque or same masjid. And Christians and Jews, these are also the division among the Christians and Jews. So they were also meeting in the church, same church to pray. So it was done by Jahangir. He was just trying to remove the differences between the different division of the society. He was trying to remove that difference. He was trying to just make them meet each other and solve all the issues among them. Jahangir was also following the principle of universal peace, that is Sulikul, which was introduced by Akbar. Yeah, let us continue to the next part. Akbar's Dini Elahi. Now, let us see about Daniel. We have done with Sulikul. Now, what is this one? Let us see. Based on the principles of tolerance and harmony, that is, one must agree with each other. If someone is saying that a particular rock is a god, then someone must say that, okay, you agree with that, then it is okay. You should not start fighting with him or her. if someone is having a different concept. So one must try to agree with each other also. Okay, if other is happy with that concept of different concept regarding any particular issue, you know, that is harmony, that we should try to agree with that person also. Okay, you, if you are happy in that particular thinking, then you should be happy, my dear. You should not, one should not start fighting with each other. We should try to tolerate and we should try to listen each other. That was the concept of Akbar's dini hilai. है ना, it was on the based on the principle of tolerance. We must try to tolerate each other. एक दूसरे को बर्दाश्त करना चाहिए हम लोगों को, और एक दूसरे से agree भी करना चाहिए. That was the thinking of Akbar, and that's why he introduced this dini ilahi. Now let me see, let me tell you that it is also not a religion. It is a concept. It is a principle. Akbar founded a new wing belief called dini ilahi. So Akbar founded this particular new belief, है ना? That is a new system known as Dini Ilahi after Sulikul. It meant religion of one God. So this particular concept was based on the religion of one God. Means there is only one God for all. The main idea was to establish a religious order acceptable to all and promote universal brotherhood and social unity. That is the base, or you can say that is the most important concept of Dini Ilahi, that he wanted to promote universal brotherhood. यानी सभी लोग आपस में क्या है, एक दूसरे के भाई हैं. That is, we are all together member of the same family, and we live in a social unite. We should live in a united way in our society. That was the concept of Dini Ilahi. That's why he established this order, religious order, which can be accepted by all. Means everyone will be tolerated, and everyone will have the chance to practice their own religion and their own God. But Dini Ilahi was forcing, or you can say was putting more pressure or emphasizing or giving importance. That is the right word. Dini Ilahi was giving importance to monotheism, that is idea of one God. So monotheism or Dini Ilahi are the same thing. There, it means that it is giving more importance to the concept of one God. And really, all the religion in the world are having only one God. Even Hindus are also Hindu. My students, many students are there in my class. They also used to tell me that they also have, there is only one God. So Dini Alahi was also saying the same thing, that there is only one God. Now Dini Ilahi was giving importance of next one, see, self denial from taking meat and wine. Means he was Dini Ilahi was saying that you should deny from yourself, huh? You should stop taking meat, or you should stop taking wine from your own self. No one will go, no one will come and ask you to stop taking meat or stop taking wine. You will have to deny it, you will have to leave it from your own self if you wish. So that is upon the person, that is upon the concept or idea of that person. If he want to deny, if he want, if he does not want to take meat, if he does not want to take wine, then it is up to him only. No one is going to force that person to stop taking wine or stop taking meat. So that self denial system was there. And to recognize the emperors as God representative on earth. Now, Dili Ilahi was also putting importance on the representative of means he was saying that this Dini Ilahi system was saying that those who are the emperor, like Akbar, or before Akbar, Babur was also, Humayun was also there, Aurangzeb also was there. So before Akbar or after Akbar, whoever will be the emperor, the citizen of the country should take that emperor as the representative of God, means the messenger of God, the person who is representing God message to this on this particular earth. So Dini Lai was also telling this concept that the emperor are the representative of God. Emperor को किसने भेजा है? God ने भेजा है उनके मैसेज देने के लिए. That was the concept of Dini Ilahi. It was also based on this concept also, that the people should agree with this concept, that the emperor is not God. The emperor is the messenger of God. That was the concept. No one should say that Dini Lai was saying that the emperor take the emperor as God. No, it was not the concept. The concept was that the emperors are the messenger. The emperors are the representative of God on the earth. That was the concept of Dini Lai. So Dini Ilahi based on, or you can say putting importance on monotheism, the concept of one God, and even self-denial from taking meat and wine, and to recognize the emperor of God as the representative on this earth. Akbar never forced anyone to accept the new faith. So this was the new faith. Dini Ilahi or Sulikul, both were the new faith. So Akbar never forced anyone, and that is great thing over here. That's why he was the greatest king. Akbar never forced anyone to accept the new faith. Only Birbal accepted it from his own choice. Birbal, one of the courtier and was the most intelligent person in his court, accepted this concept of Dini Ilahi. The Dini Ilahi ended with Akbar's death, and when Akbar died, that concept, that faith also died with that Akbar. So you can say if the most intelligent person, the Birbal, if he could understand that what is Dini Ilahi, and he was not having any problem in accepting, so many people also accepted that Dini Ilahi, but in his court only Birbal accepted. Akbar followed a policy of friendship, not hardship, not fighting ship. Akbar followed a policy of friendship towards the Rajput king. He married Rajput princesses and gave their relatives even high position in his court. So whoever is marrying with Akbar, her family is getting high position in his court, and even maybe many of them getting high position in the army also. Both Jahangir and Shah Jahan, after Akbar, they were born, you can say they were born of Rajput queens. So Akbar married many Rajput queens also, and they were having children also. So Jahangir and Shah Jahan both were the son of a Rajput queen. That is son of they were having mother of a different religion, not Islam. Their mother were from different religion, and even you can see the mother of Rajput, Jahangir and Shah Jahan, they have never changed their religion. They were Hindus, they were following Hinduism, and they followed Hinduism till their death. Akbar never followed her queens to accept his religion, Islam. That is the greatest thing Akbar did. You can see, Akbar might have forced his wives to accept Islam, but never. He has never forced anyone. He has never forced his wives also to accept Islam, and that's why those Rajput queens who were his wives, they never changed their religion, and they were never forced by Akbar also. That is the greatest thing done by Akbar, one of the greatest thing. Yeah, my dear student, let us come to the next topic, that is nobility and the common play people. The administrative and military efficiency of the Mughal Empire also led to the economic and commercial progress of everyone, but not everyone. The poor people were also very poor, they were also existing. India became the land of wealth. India became the magic land of wealth. Every country was trying, every country was watching that India is so wealthy. But the richers were rich. But the side by side, you can see the state of poverty of common people was also there. There were common people who were very poor also. It was not so that everyone was very rich. During Shah Jahan, the highest ranking Mansabdar, there were only 445 Mansabdars during Shah Jahan. Out of total 8,000. There were 8,000 Mansabdars during Shah Jahan, but only 445 were having high rank. And those 445 high rank Mansabdars were taking the 61.5% of the total income of the emperor as salaries of the empire. The Mughal emperors and Mansabdars, They were in spending a lot of income on salaries and goods. Even artisans, merchants, and peasants who were supplying them goods, they were also became rich during the Mughal Empire. The poor peasants, they were living just hand to mouth, means that they whatever they were earning, they were just spending on that day, and for another day they have to work. They don't have any savings. The wealthy peasants, artisans, merchants, and bankers, they were profited, है ना, जो अमीर किसान थे वो और अमीर हो रहे थे. The highest paid officers is known in the world. The Mughal leaders were the highest paid officers which were known in the world at that time, है ना. They were the highest paid officers, the Mughal Mansabdars, the Mughal leaders. They were powerful and they lived a very life of display, है ना, दिखावे का लाइफ, बहुत अच्छा लाइफ वो लोग जीते थे, those highest paid officers. And they were overspending, और ज्यादा खर्च भी करते थे. There were several kings and queens also, my dear students. There were several. So, my dear students, let us complete this last slide of the chapter. There were several kings and queens in different parts of the world in the 16th century when there was Mughal dynasty in India. At the same time, there were many different kings and queens in the whole other part of the world also. It is not so that the Mughal emperor were ruling throughout the world. They were in India only at that time. So there were other several kings and queens in different parts of the world in the 16th century. And one of them is Sultan Suleiman. He is also one of the greatest emperor of Turkey, like Akbar. Let me show you his image also. Yeah, he's the man, the Suleiman. So Sultan Suleiman, he was the king of Ottoman Turkey, ruled from 1520 to 1566. You can see he also ruled for 46 years. And during his rule, the Ottoman Empire expanded into Europe. And this empire was there in Europe and it was just expanding from country to country. From 1520 to 1566, this empire just expanded itself. His armies, Sultan Suleiman armies also seized Baghdad and Iraq, and even King Suleiman reconstructed the Ottoman navy system also. He started and constructed this Ottoman navy system also. Means now they were having army in the navy also. The king was given the title of Al-Kanuni. Sultan Suleiman, he was the king and he got the title of Al-Kanuni because number of regulations he made, number of and many regulations that he passed. He made many kanuns, or you can say laws. He made many laws, and that's why he is also regarded as Al-Kanuni. Means he used to make laws, and a number of laws were there that he passed. Later in the 17th century, the rule of King Suleiman was remembered as a period of ideal governance also. So Sultan King Suleiman ruling, and the way he ruled and the way he administered and the way he controlled everything, that's why his rule is also known as one of the best rule by a particular king, one of the best one. And that's why his period is also known as period of ideal governance. Means everyone can really live in his kingdom freely and without any disturbance. So that is the end of the chapter, my dear students. I hope that you like the chapter more when we meet in the next chapter. Till then, may many thanks to all the learners for cooperating me as well as listening me in the class. May Allah bless you all, my dear students. Take care. Bye bye. Stay at home and stay safe, my dear students.